Ladies and gentlemen, I have just received word that the men of the 2012 graduating class of Morehouse College are ready to step from the Martin Luther King Jr. International Chapel. The front of the line will move through a magnificent human corridor formed by the Morehouse faculty and by members of the alumni reunion classes. And you see them moving now through the gate. The faculty representing the past, a past of teaching, training, and preparing those young men for the world into which they will go. There you see Provost Willis Sheptall, Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs. The alumni also are part of the corridor representing the future, symbolizing the ranks which the graduates will join during the ceremony this morning. The front of the line, led by Morehouse student drummers in the African tradition, is moving through the gates at Westview Drive. Leading the line, the academic processional is Dr. David Cook, who carries the mace of the college. Dr. Cook is professor and chair of the Department of Biology, and he is standing in today for Dr. Tobe Johnson, who is serving as division dean. Immediately behind Dr. Sheptall are the lead senior class marshals, Mr. Avin Darden, dean of the freshman class, and Dr. Keith Hollingsworth, chair and professor of the Department of Business Administration. The graduates matriculated in academic divisions. You will see the Division of Humanities and Social Science, chaired by Dr. Tobe Johnson, and later you will see the banner of the Division of Science and Mathematics, chaired by Dr. John K. Haynes, and the banner of the Division of Business and Economics, chaired by Dr. John Williams. Standing on the steps of the Kilgore Center are members of the platform, including the president, trustees, and our speakers and honorary degree recipient. Ladies and gentlemen, let us prepare for the crowning. Morehouse holds the crown above the heads of her sons and then challenges them to grow tall enough to wear it. 4 years ago, you brought your sons to us in order that they might grow tall enough to wear the proverbial crown of which Dr. Howard Thurman spoke. And now the crowning moment has arrived, for your son has indeed grown tall enough to wear the crown. A few days ago, when all the grades were in, all reports were taken, and all assessments were given, over 500 men stood at the gate of the world and petitioned entry. And the world asked, who are these men standing on yonder hill, and what do they represent? And Morehouse answered, these are they who represent some of the best in ability and capability. These are they who are ready to do God's work in the vineyards before them. Then the world asked, by what authority do they march today? And Morehouse answered, they march by the authority of their conquering spirit because they challenged obstacles, defied odds, and contradicted statistics that said that they would be a jailmate instead of a college graduate. Then the world asked, who are these who will stand as a cloud of witnesses in testimony to their achievement? And Morehouse answered, these are they with tired feet from working on second and sometimes third jobs to make mortgage payments on refinanced homes, on high-interest loans, on maxed-out credit cards, to pay tuition, to purchase books, to cover rent, to secure laptops, to purchase iPhones and iPads and tablets in order to give their son the chance that they may never have had themselves. Then the world asked, who gives testimony to their journey? And Morehouse answered, their journey is sanctioned by the tears of a praying mother. Their journey is sanctioned by the faith of a loving father, by the care of a watchful grandfather or grandmother, by the love of a loving sister or brother or auntie or cousin or uncle or godparent. Morehouse answered, their journey is sanctioned by those who may have had to do without and make do and get by so that their son could wear the kind of clothes he wore and drive the kind of car he drove and eat the kind of food he ate. Their journey is sanctioned by those who have had to climb up the rough side of the mountain, not knowing how things would turn out, but all the time praying to a God who surely would make a way somehow. And today, finally, their prayers will be answered. Then the world proclaimed, they are ready, they are ready. Let them enter for the crowning. And Morehouse answered, for now the battle is over, and now the victory is won. As they come a-marching, as they come a-marching, as they come a-marching, wearing the crown. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2012 graduating class of Morehouse College. And now the ringing of the bell by the founder's representative, the Reverend Dr. Woodrow Miller Jr., which will be followed by the evocation by Morehouse alumnus, the Reverend Dr. Raphael Gamaliel Warnock, senior pastor of the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church, located in Atlanta, the spiritual home of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Reverend Warnock is a member of the Morehouse College class of 1991.
Good morning. I am Woodrow Miller Jr., pastor of Harmony Baptist Church, located in Augusta, Georgia. The ringing of the bell from Old Springfield Baptist Church in Augusta, where Morehouse was originated, was also the clarion call of our founder, the Reverend Dr. William Jefferson White. Reverend White also conveyed the first Equal Rights Convention in 1866. And that historical occasion, or that historical event, set the foundation for the college mission. As the founder's representative, I am honored to announce and declare that the 145th school year of Morehouse College is now closed, and the 128th commencement exercise is now in order.
The scripture tells us that of one blood, God has made all nations to dwell upon the face of the earth. Dr. King said, we are tied in a single garment of destiny. In that spirit, would you join hands with your neighbor? God of love and justice, it is by your power that we are placed on a brand new path. And it is by your grace that we are given a new name. Indeed, you took Abram from being a wanderer to the father of the faith, changed his name from Abram to Abraham. Jacob the trickster became Israel. He wrestled with God and human beings in the dark night of the soul, and he prevailed. Simon became Petros, a solid rock of a brother, and upon the power of his confession, you built your church, and from that church, the Church of the African American Experience, emerged Morehouse College. Saul became Paul, a murderous butcher, became a magnanimous brother. You made him blind so that he might see. And so we gather this morning to bear witness to the truth that you have changed our brothers' names from men of Morehouse to Morehouse men. They have burned the midnight oil, but we are clear that this is your work. And it is marvelous in our eyes. We thank you for this great tradition gathered on this bright Sunday morning, a tradition built by enslaved ancestors. You moved us from the brutality and the bloodshed of the Middle Passage to the brilliance and the beauty of this moment. Ancestors were chained beneath ships, but no chain could shackle their spirits. Some died along the way, but no watery grave could hold them down. For their spirits rise up this morning to greet us in song and in celebration. And so we gather just to say thank you. Thank you, God, for tribulation and triumph are two sides of the same coin. They have triumphed over tribulation. Thank you for every test, for now they have a testimony how great is our God. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our parents sighed. Bless now this graduating class of 2012. May they emerge from this mountain, go down into the valley, and do the work of our God. We thank you for their witness, that they represent achievement and activism, power and protest until every wall of human oppression is brought down. And now, O God, you are the God of Mays and Martin and Mordecai. You are the God made known in Jesus. You are the God worshiped in many houses, known by many names. But you are our God, our Lord, and our liberator. Bless us now with every spiritual grace in the way that only you can. And for this we give you glory, honor, and praise. Amen.
Please stand for the presentation of colors, followed by the Star-Spangled Banner, and lift every voice and sing, led by the world-renowned Morehouse College Glee Club, under the direction of Dr. David Morrow, Morehouse College class of 1980, and accompanied by Dr. David Oliver, college organist and director of music ministries.
treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past, still now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright sun is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast light our minds, let us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places of God where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
You may be seated. When the men of this class arrived at Morehouse College on August 25th, 2008, in sweltering 95-degree weather, they were greeted by a president who was to be their guiding force as they navigated the challenges of their matriculation. And when this president stood at the gate and watched the members of this class file by, he saw potential and promise. He saw talent and budding expertise in full presentation. And he must have felt like John Keats when John Keats says he first looked into Chapman's Homer, like some watcher of the skies when a new planet swims into his ken. And so this president, for 4 years, was to monitor and manage their pilgrimage, and he was to provide resources for their journey toward meaningful destinies until the day, this day, that they would exit the gate and move out into a waiting world. So immediately he began composing his magnum opus, like some great sculptor, chiseling out the qualities of a Morehouse Renaissance man and setting in stone a standard for excellence forever. For 4 years, he urged each of these young men to greatness, declaring that he would accept nothing less. So whether he had to turn his attention, as he often did, to other matters when duty called him away to lobby and posture for the academic, financial, and operational exigency of the institution, he always returned to his major priority: to ensure the transformation of ordinary men to Renaissance men, Morehouse Renaissance men, ethical leaders who would change the world. Today, a wonderful vision has been granted its certification. Today, a wonderful vision has demonstrated its authenticity in the preparation and dedication of over 500 scholar leaders who will tell you how proud they are to call themselves Franklin's Renaissance men. And they will tell you how pleased they are to stand as exemplars of his record and as manifestations of his achievement. So now, as the mighty men of the class of 2012 rise in recognition of their progenitor, ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to present the 10th president of Morehouse College, a member of the class of 1975, the one and only Dr. Robert Michael Franklin Jr. Hear ye him.
Mr. Chairman and other members of the Morehouse College Board of Trustees, members of this very distinguished platform party, distinguished guests, alumni and friends of this great institution, members of the faculty, administration and staff, families and friends of our graduates, and most especially the members of the graduating class of 2012. We're delighted to gather on this special day, and we take this moment to pause and to celebrate your achievement. Will you join me in applauding their achievement? Welcome to the 128th Commencement Convocation. We have a very special celebration and program planned. However, Mr. Tom Joyner, who is on program to deliver the commencement charge, is unable to be with us today. He sends his deep regrets. As you know, Mr. Joyner, through the Tom Joyner Foundation, is a staunch supporter of historically black colleges and universities. In fact, one of our graduates, senior class president Jonathan Howard, is a Tom Joyner scholar. Mr. Joyner extends his congratulations to the class of 2012 and looks forward to being with us in the future. Also, Captain Mario Misfood was scheduled to commission our ROTC officers, but he will be replaced today by Lieutenant Colonel Sean Bevins of the United States Navy. The rest of the program will proceed as printed. This has been another exceptional year in the history of Morehouse College, and we couldn't do it without the invaluable support from corporations and foundations that believe in our mission and invest in us. This year, we've received $2 million from the U.S. Department of Defense in support of the Dr. John H. Hops Jr. Defense Research Scholars Program. Dr. Hops was a distinguished member of this faculty and the provost. The building you see here, John Hops Jr. Technology Tower, is named in his honor. And his beloved wife, Dr. June Hops, joins us each year. We received $1 million for the Race to the Top program that is part of the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, which is in addition to a $500,000 grant from the National Science Foundation. They will help us produce more students in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math. We received $300,000 from Coca-Cola to support the Chinese Language Studies program and the Coca-Cola Pre-College Leadership Program. $200,000 from the AT&T Wireless Company to develop global leaders. And $125,000 from the Follett Higher Education Group for the Renaissance Now Scholarship Campaign. And I'm delighted to announce that trustees Dale Jones, Billy Aaron, and her husband, Hank Aaron, led the efforts to secure a generous donation in the amount of $500,000 for the Wisconsin Scholarship Fund. 10 scholarships of $50,000 each will be awarded to talented young men who graduate from the Milwaukee Public School System. And in tribute to the college's top donor, our Oprah Winfrey Scholars have raised $350,000 to help a new generation of young men realize their dreams of a Morehouse education. An anonymous donor gave $1 million toward a future baseball and multi-purpose field and complex at the college. Another anonymous donor provided $200,000 for tree planting and beautification throughout the campus. I hope you like the way this campus looks. Each year, we're pleased to share with you the college's most notable achievements. Morehouse has been named one of the top 100 social media colleges in the country by StudentAdvisor.com. U.S. News & World Report named us the #3 HBCU in the nation for 2012. Washington Monthly's most recent college guide named us #2 liberal arts college in the nation. We established a leadership development program for men and boys in underrepresented communities. This program, called the Empowering Leadership in Local Communities pilot program, is in Los Angeles, and supporters include the Magic Johnson Foundation, Shaka Khan, and the California Endowment. In athletics, the Maroon Tiger football team completed its season with a record 8 wins and 2 losses. Our own defensive tackle, Shabu Aninobi, has signed a 3-year contract with the Indianapolis Colts. For the 7th consecutive year, the Morehouse track and field team won the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference Championship, while the cross-country team won its 3rd straight SIAC title. And the golf and track teams won the SIAC All-Academic Awards. And even more impressive, our scholar athletes collectively have an 85% graduation rate, and we are very, very proud of them. Indeed, this is a very special occasion for everyone assembled here today, and especially for the young men who've worked so long and hard to earn their degrees. During the past several years, they've met the academic challenges of the classroom. They have moved successfully along the journey toward their goals, and they've earned the privilege today, the privilege of being referred to for the rest of their lives as Morehouse men. At this time, let me ask another Morehouse man to come now and extend greetings, a member of the distinguished class of 1967 and chairman of the Morehouse College Board of Trustees, our chairman and my friend, Mr. Robert C. Davidson, Jr.
Thank you, President Franklin. On behalf of the Morehouse College Board of Trustees and all of my brothers in the great class of 1967, I welcome all of you to the Morehouse College Commencement exercise for 2012. To the parents and other family members of the graduates, for your love, prayers, and sacrifice. To the faculty and staff at Morehouse, for your dedication and service, and to the many friends of Morehouse College for your support, loyalty, and generosity. Thank you for your help in making this day a reality for those young men who dreamed one day of graduating from a place called Morehouse College. To the graduating class, I honor you today because of your commitment, hard work, and determination. Each of you decided just a few years ago to accept the challenge to begin the journey to become a Morehouse man. While the journey ends today, the responsibility is endless. From this day forward, great things are expected of you. Much has been sacrificed to help you get to this day. Your responsibility is to continue to work hard, to be better than average, to press forward a higher standard, and to strive every day to ensure your success validates the sacrifice. Congratulations on your achievement. May God be with you as you begin the next phase of your lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Davidson. One of Morehouse College's greatest assets is our alumni. Morehouse has a proud tradition of producing outstanding leaders, Morehouse men, who leave this red clay hill and go out to serve and transform the world. Among them are United Negro College Fund President Michael Lomax, the Grammy-nominated hip-hop artist, gospel recording artist Canton Jones, CNN political commentator Jamal Simmons, Jay Johnson, General Counsel for the Department of Defense, Congressman Sanford Bishop, Congressman Cedric Richmond, hip-hop artist Keith Guru Elam, Dr. Eddie Glaude, Princeton religion scholar, Dr. Leroy Keith, businessman and 8th president of Morehouse, Dr. John Wilson, executive director of the White House Initiative on HBCUs, Dr. Calvin Butts, senior minister of the Abyssinian Baptist Church in New York, Mr. Rufus Rivers, investment banker, Mr. Willie Woods, investment banker, and the list goes on and on. Today, we have two prominent alumni, Dr. Eugene McGowan of Newcastle, Delaware, and Dr. Asa Yancey of Atlanta, pioneering physicians, who both at the age of 95 celebrate their 75th reunion. W.B. Du Bois was 95 when he expired from this world. And Du Bois walked this campus and taught men of Morehouse and the women of Spelman and students of Atlanta University, 95 years. But earlier this week, via conference call, these two gentlemen, Dr. McGowan and Dr. Yancey, participated in a conference phone call. And they were thrilled to reconnect as the two surviving members of the class of 1937. Let's show them our appreciation for their long service as Renaissance men of Morehouse College. Celebrating their 70th reunion are 6 men of the class of 1942. Unfortunately, I understand they are not with us today, but let's give them a round of applause. Celebrating their 65th reunion is former Tuskegee Airman Hiram Little of Atlanta and the men from the class of 1947. Please stand and be recognized. Celebrating the 60th reunion are former Morehouse Academic Dean Dr. Samuel Tucker of Atlanta and the men of the class of 1952. Please stand, gentlemen. Celebrating their 55th reunion are Morehouse College trustee and retired three-star General James R. Hall and the men of the class of 1957. Please stand. Each year, a very special group of alumni reaches its 50th year milestone as Morehouse men and is inducted into the Golden Tigers Society. Celebrating their golden anniversary are distinguished research scientist and MacArthur Fellow Donald Hopkins and civil rights activist and actor Charles Black, and the men of the class of 1962 are brand new Golden Tigers. Gentlemen, will you stand? Celebrating their 55th reunion are Morehouse College, Celebrating their 45th reunion are Board Chairman Robert C. Davidson, former GOP presidential candidate and former Morehouse College trustee Herman Cain, and the men of the class of 1967. Please stand. Celebrating their 40th reunion are civil rights activist and lawyer Gordon Joyner, nuclear physicist and NIH biomedical imaging director Roderick Pettigrew, and the other men of the class of 1972, including our former provost, Weldon Jackson. Will you stand? Dean Darden. Celebrating their 35th reunion are National Football League senior referee Jerome Boger and attorney and former board chair of MARTA, Michael Tyler, and the other men of the class of 1977. Gentlemen, please stand. Celebrating their 30th reunion are Morehouse trustee Dale Jones and International Hotel executive John Mims and the rest of the class of 1982. Gentlemen, please stand. And now introducing our Silver Tigers, who joined the ranks of Morehouse College joined the ranks of Morehouse men 25 years ago. Overseas private investment executive Christopher Cowan, Coca-Cola International General Counsel John Lewis, and other members of the class of 1987, including our own Vice President of Development, Philip Howard. Gentlemen, will you stand? Celebrating their 20th reunion are the men of the class of 1992. I ask that you stand, gentlemen. 1992. Celebrating their 15th reunion are the men of the class of 1997. Please stand. Celebrating their 10th reunion are the men of the class of 2002, celebrating 10 years as Morehouse men. Will you all stand, please? Let's stand. Harold Martin. And finally, the members of the class of 2007. These men are still paying college loans. 2007, celebrating their 5th reunion year. Will you please stand and be recognized? Now we invite all remaining Morehouse alumni to stand at this time, wherever you are in this great crowd. All Morehouse alumni, please stand now and be recognized. Will members of the Morehouse College faculty and staff please stand and be recognized? Keepers of the intellectual capital of this college and this great university center. Will the 2012-2013 Miss Maroon and White Court, will you please stand at this time? They've already mastered the wave. We have two very dedicated faculty members who will be retiring this year. Dr. Margaret Weber Levine, professor of psychology, is retiring after 40 years of service. And Dr. Thank you, Margaret. And Dr. Shirley Thompson, assistant professor of mathematics, will retire after 32 years of service to the college. Let's acknowledge them both. We'd like to introduce some of our guests with us this morning and ask that they stand and be recognized. Dr. Walter Eugene Massey, President Emeritus of Morehouse College and President of the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, a member of the class of 1956. Great to have you back, Walter. My fellow Atlanta University Center presidents, Dr. Beverly Tatum of Spelman College. And Dr. Stanley Pritchett of Morris Brown College. Our beloved friend and colleague and teacher, Dr. Samuel Du Bois Cook, President Emeritus of Dillard University and a member of the Morehouse class of 1948. His lovely wife, Sylvia. Dr. Cook. If there are other college or university presidents in the audience, would you stand and be recognized at this time? We thank you for your presence. Also joining us today, I'm told, U.S. Congressman Sanford Bishop and his wife Vivian, Los Angeles County Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas, Dr. June Gary Hopps, wife of former Morehouse Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. John Hopps, Jr. Ms. Annie Watley, Deputy Director of the Minority Economic Impact for the U.S. Department of Energy. Ms. Ingrid Saunders Jones, Senior Vice President of Global Community Connections for the Coca-Cola Company. And Mrs. Helen Price, Executive Director of the Coca-Cola Foundation. And Scarlett Presley Brown of the Delta Airlines Foundation. Dean Valerie Montgomery Rice of the Morehouse School of Medicine. And now I invite my wife, the First Lady of Morehouse College, Dr. Cheryl Goffney Franklin, to please stand. Amen. We also have with us today Mrs. Yvonne King Gloucester, wife of the late Morehouse President Hugh Morris Gloucester. How we love you. Please stand and be recognized, Vaughn. And the former First Lady Shirley Massey, wife of Dr. Walter Eugene Massey. Shirley, welcome home. Others will be recognized later, but at this time, I'm privileged to recognize our class salutatorian. This gentleman has maintained an impressive 3.98 cumulative grade point average. Allow me to introduce our salutatorian, Lee Nathaniel Young. As he comes, please know that he is a business major with a concentration in accounting. Lee is a native of Evansville, Indiana. He is the son of Nathan David Young and the late Patricia Ann Young. After graduation, Lee plans to work as a financial analyst for Delta Airlines. In his junior year, he was inducted into Phi Beta Kappa and Beta Gamma Sigma Honor Societies. He also served as vice president for both the National Association of Black Accountants and the Morehouse Investment Club. In his sophomore year, he served as treasurer for the Morehouse Business Association. Lee was selected as one of 200 fellows from a nationwide pool of candidates for the Career Development Program Management Leadership for Tomorrow. Lee, please come now and receive your award. Thank you, Lee, and congratulations on a job well done. Now, will the members of Lee's family please stand and be recognized? Welcome and thank you all. This year, Morehouse College is pleased to recognize an accomplished graduating senior as the class valedictorian. He has achieved an impressive cumulative grade point average of 4.0 and is deserving of this time-honored acknowledgement. Let's acknowledge him. Valedictorian And now for the rest of the story. Valedictorian Jamaji Wanaji Nwerem is a native of Concord, North Carolina, and is the son of Sir Pamaji Wanaji Nwerem and Lady Chioma Wanaji Nwerem. A Hops scholar and biology major, Jamaji attended Morehouse on a full academic scholarship. Among his many accomplishments were induction into Phi Beta Kappa during his junior year and membership in the Golden Key Honor Society. Jamaji is a UNCF Merck Research Fellow and the 2012 top-ranking biology major. He is a recipient of numerous other awards and honors, including the Morehouse College Honors Program, the Dr. Cheryl Goffney Franklin Health Professions Scholarship, Achievement Awards for College Scientist Scholar, Senator Robert C. Byrd Honors Scholarship, Outstanding Presentation Award from the 2009 Annual Biomedical Research Conference for Minority Students, and the Frederick E. Mapp Symposium Senior Award in Biology for 2012. Jamaji has served Morehouse with distinction in student leadership positions, which include President of the John H. Hopps Research Scholars Program, sophomore class senator to the Student Government Association, board member and bookkeeper for the Morehouse College Campus Alliance for Student Activities, peer-led team learning leader for the departments of biology and chemistry, and a member of the African Students Association. After graduation, he plans to pursue an MD, PhD at Harvard Medical School. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the valedictorian of the class of 2012, Jamaji Wanaji and Wareham.
Congratulations, big dog. Do your sound, baby.
We will now receive the valedictorian's address.
To President Franklin, First Lady Dr. Cheryl Franklin, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty and staff, family, friends, and my brothers, my comrades, members of the mighty class of 2012. The date is 300 BC, and we behave as they, and they behave as we. Indeed, we are citizens of the mighty Roman Empire. We go about our daily lives bartering, campaigning, and working as though all is well with the world. Yet our consolation is not due to an absence of crime, nor is it an effect of increased policing efforts. No. Rather, our serenity is due to a 30-foot tall, 4-foot wide structure of volcanic rock. A structure formidable enough to repel Hannibal during the Second Punic War. A structure better known as the Servian Wall. The date is August 2008. And we are tiptoeing on the boundary between adolescence and adulthood. We go about our day adorned in maroon because on this day, we began our new but uncertain lives as men of Morehouse. Though we are separated from our families, our apprehension of the unknown is overpowered by excitement. Excitement to join the ranks of a new family, a brotherhood. Step by step, we march down Westview Drive and then on to Brown Street until every single one of us had passed those walls that read Morehouse College, founded in 1867. Just as the Servian Wall enabled Roman culture to flourish, so too have the physical and intangible walls of Morehouse helped the men before me to develop. Without a doubt, these last 4 years have been marked by events that will be forever etched in our collective memories. Not long after we had settled into our new home, Barack Hussein Obama was elected President of the United States. This event not only shook up the world, but it rattled our nest as it reminded us that opportunities still existed, and that when they present themselves, preparation makes all the difference. So, still operating inside walls, we seized every opportunity for growth and development. We opened our minds to social theory, biochemistry, finance, Shakespeare, and biophysics. We opened our hearts and souls to friendships and relationships to gain a better understanding of the human condition. And more importantly, we opened our eyes and ears, because although we resided within the walls of Morehouse, we refused to be ignorant concerning the rest of the world. So, we shed those maroon blazers for fitted suits. We shed foul language for erudite speech. Through internships, we became business savvy and underpinned the words of our finance book with hands-on experience on Wall Street. Through scientific research, we reinforced dreams of becoming a physician from childhood with an appreciation and understanding of stem cells in modern medicine. Through semester at sea and study abroad, we traded the assurance of the known with newfound cognition of places such as France, Nicaragua, St. Kitts, Thailand, Ghana, and South Africa. And through the production of film, music, art, and dance, we became architects of imaginative expression. Still, during our tenure, we have lost fellow students, loved ones, and faculty and staff members. We are grateful to these individuals who made a difference in our journey and helped to shape our destiny. Indeed, we have grown, and to God Almighty, we are forever thankful. To our parents, families, and supporters whose work first got us here, we are forever thankful. To Morehouse and the labors of the faculty and staff in this nest of learning, we are forever thankful. It is a combination of these factors that allows us to sit here today and firmly state that we are ready. We are ready to become the next business tycoons, world health leaders, music moguls, fashion trendsetters, progressive research scientists, moral social advocates, etc., etc., etc. We are ready to make Morehouse College proud. Yet, as we leave today, we are mindful of the true nature of walls. Yes, walls such as those of Morehouse can keep things in and function to nurture and develop people for the better. But walls can also be fashioned to keep things out. Luckily, the power is not in the wall. The power is in the God-given spirit in each and every one of us. We will always transcend walls because it is now in our nature to do so. Just as we leapt over walls and traveled to Haiti after the earthquakes, we will continue to aid the helpless. Just as we leapt over walls and volunteered to mentor middle schoolers, we will continue to nurture the future. Just as we leapt over walls and spent our spring breaks not partying on the beaches of Miami, but rather building homes for those in need, we will continue to assist the homeless. Just as we leapt over walls, stood up, and were even arrested for Troy Davis and Trayvon Martin, we will continue to speak out against injustice. Whenever we learn that a wall was fashioned to impinge on the human rights of any of God's given creatures, we are now expected to act. So, my brothers, after we have leapt over walls, let us continue the practice of breaking barriers and opening gates. We will break barriers of apathy and open gates of empathy. We will break barriers of violence and open gates of love. We will break barriers of fear and open gates of hope. We will break barriers of sickness and open gates of healing. We will break barriers of sorrow and open gates of laughter. We will break barriers of confusion and open gates of understanding. We will break barriers of dialogue, break barriers of silence and open gates of dialogue. We will break barriers of extremism and open gates of moderation. We will break barriers of division and open gates of humanity. This is our promise to Morehouse College. We will use the skills that we have gained here and will be men of action. Men of action who are never seen sitting astride the wall. Men of action who speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. Men of action who perform not for obligation, but because we sincerely do care. Thank you, and Godspeed.
Thank you, Jamaji, and congratulations on a job well done. Thank you for your challenge to the men of your class. You're an outstanding example of the quintessential Morehouse man. Will members of Jamaji's family please stand and be recognized? Chairman Davidson, former Chairman Davis, President Emeritus Massey, trustees, faculty, staff, alumni, families and friends, and members of the class of 2012. We gather on this site of learning and leadership development to celebrate the achievements of many. The faculty have taught and given their best. Administrators have facilitated learning. Parents have paid for learning. Our honorees today have modeled and inspired excellence. Alumni have generously supported learning, and trustees have monitored quality. But most important of all, lives have been transformed. Howard Thurman was an educator, a minister, and a public theologian who graduated in the Morehouse College class of 1923. He offered a poignant and lasting image of student transformation here that we will forever cherish. He said, over the heads of her students, Morehouse holds a crown that she challenges them to grow tall enough to wear. The intellectual and moral formation these graduates experienced in our weekly Crown Forum has occurred at a time when many have questioned the continuing purpose and value of historically black colleges and universities. Our simple reply is, examine the evidence, study our record, and let the market decide. Colleges are judged by what their graduates know and what they do with their learning. For a small college of men, we are proud of producing significant numbers of graduates who pursue PhDs in science, technology, engineering, and math. Washington Monthly Magazine assesses colleges that serve the public good and not simply individual well-being. They ranked Morehouse and Spelman among America's very best liberal arts colleges. We are far from perfect, but we are proud of what God has empowered us to do with the resources we have. Others may have more in wealth and facilities, but we humbly submit that pound for pound, Morehouse College graduates contribute as much and more to human betterment as the graduates of any of the world's best schools. I submit as evidence this morning Martin Luther King Jr. and Maynard Jackson, David Satcher and Louis Sullivan, Samuel L. Jackson and Julian Bond, Spike Lee and Edwin Moses, the thousands of alumni here and abroad, and the 500 young men who graduate today. We have produced Rhodes Scholars, Olympic gold medalists, a Nobel Prize winner, and an alumnus honored with a national holiday. In the words of Dr. Steve Perry, Morehouse makes the impossible look routine. America has done a reasonable job of educating most segments of the adult population, with the notable exception of African American men. In many communities, 70% of black boys who enroll in 9th grade will not graduate 4 years later with their peers. For black men who enroll in America's colleges and universities, only 35% graduate within 6 years. At Morehouse, it's almost double the national average. Washington, we have a problem. But at Morehouse, we believe that we have cracked the code on black male academic achievement. The great barrier for our talented students is affordability, not academic ability. After 145 years of doing this, Morehouse has many lessons to offer this great nation that should do more to help boys and men flourish in life rather than languish in prison. Morehouse has learned what it takes to transform boys to men and men to leaders. Morehouse knows the power of high expectations and group mentoring. Morehouse knows that if the boys in the hood have guns in their hands, it's because the men in the hood are not holding their hands. Morehouse knows that when a teacher opens the door of a classroom, he closes the door of a prison cell. And Morehouse knows that if a fraction of the money this nation spends on jails and war was invested in male college retention, America would rise again on the list of most competitive nations. I am so proud of the men who graduate here today. This class, my brothers and my sons. This class elected a U.S. president. This class embraced the Morehouse Renaissance and made it come alive in creative and lively ways. This class produced a record number of students who were on the dean's list. This class had an unprecedented number of students study and travel abroad. This class supported a football team that reached the NCAA playoffs for the first time in our history. This class celebrated the 100th anniversary of the incomparable Glee Club. This class advanced the renaissance of our health careers program. This class engaged in dignified protest in 2009 and helped launch our digital media and filmmaking program. This class welcomed the world when we opened the doors of the Ray Charles Performing Arts Center. This class led the renaissance of campus debate as our debate team demonstrated prowess in parliamentary elocution and conquered every team from Yazoo City to Yale. This class made Oprah Winfrey cry during her final show as the whole world watched those debonair Morehouse men enter the room lifting high candles in the dark. And this class is wise enough to know that they could have done none of this, or achieved none of it, without the love and the generous support of the people in this yard today and those who watch from afar. For 100 years, people have repeated the humorous aphorism, "You can tell a Morehouse man, but you can't tell him much." And as Morehouse men, we listen to that with patience, some modest measure of humility, and we take it. But many have wondered, but few have asked explicitly, why can't you tell him much? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Let's settle that once and for all today. The simple answer is because he is stretching and growing. Like any good athlete, prior to performing, he stretches. Einstein said logic will get you from A to B, but imagination will take you anywhere. His imagination is stretching and growing to conceptualize new ways to improve the human condition. He is growing intellectually and thinking critically, courageously, and constructively, working to make the world safe for all God's children without respect to race, gender, class, or sexual orientation. He is working to advance the United Nations Millennium Development Goals, including universal primary education, ending poverty and hunger, and promoting gender equality. He is growing 5 different ways at once, reading to be a thought leader in every conversation, speaking to amplify the voice of the voiceless, traveling to see the world and gain global perspective, dressing for success, and constantly balancing and rebalancing his moral compass so that he can help to balance and heal an imbalanced society. You can't tell him much because he's in constant motion. He is busy, but understand the meaning of his busyness. He is at all times trying to grow tall enough to wear that crown. Young men, since growth is your agenda, there is a growth hormone I recommend. It's found in the wisdom of Aristotle, who said in order to become a crown wearer, a morally elegant citizen, or what the theologian Reinhold Niebuhr called a moral man in an immoral society, 3 things are required: knowledge, desire, and practice. First, you must know what is good and right and true and beautiful. And I hope earnestly that we have taught you some of this during your years here. But second, you must desire to do the good, to do what is right, because knowledge without the desire and will is anemic. And third, you must practice doing good, practice telling the truth, practice sharing your treasure, even loving the unlovable, and practice even if you fail. And in time, knowledge, desire, and practice will produce habits. And those habits will become the fabric of your character. You will never be perfect, but you can and should strive for moral excellence. And do so with humility, knowing that, as one writer said, there is so much good in the worst of us, and so much bad in the best of us, that it hardly behooves any of us to talk about the rest of us. My younger brothers, you will leave us today, as Morehouse men, but you will never escape the ethical imperative to mature into morally elegant human beings. You own a blazer, and today you will receive a degree, but still you do not have a crown. People will say that you behave and talk like royalty, but where is your crown? You may have a queen, you may be building your kingdom, but still no crown. And you get no crown until you make a difference. No crown until you add value. No crown until you fight injustice. No crown until you feed the hungry and clothe the naked. No crown until you protect the environment. No crown until you pick a big problem and go out to solve it. Remember that your character is the key to your crown. Get character, you get a crown. And then and only then can you return like these golden tigers and alumni to show us that you deserve to wear a crown. But notice that the saying says, you can't tell him much. That implies that you can tell him a little bit. And so, families and village, tell him today how proud you are of him. And in the spirit of the parents' parting ceremony, tell him how much you love him. Tell him to keep stretching and to keep growing. It has been my greatest privilege to lead my alma mater during these critical years. Through the worst economy in our lifetimes, a renaissance has taken hold. Producing Renaissance men with social conscience in a hip-hop culture is an audacious adventure that must continue. Our disappointments have been few, and our triumphs and achievements many, but I thank God, and we thank you for the opportunity and the privilege to serve and to give our best. I want to thank all of my dedicated staff, and to the entire campus community, thank you for making these years special. At the end of this calendar year, Cheryl and I will transition to serve the Morehouse mission in new and different ways, while slowing the pace of our lives and taking the opportunity to pursue other vocational priorities. And so finally, brothers, your Morehouse degree will not inoculate you from life's challenges. In fact, the degree proves that you have become masters of frustration management. Now, let's face it, the jobs you desire may not yet be available. The scholarship you seek may not be granted at this time. The opportunity you covet may elude you for now. The woman of your dreams may ride off in another chariot. But thanks be to God that setback is just a setup for your comeback. And so remember Ernest Hemingway's memorable words that life breaks all of us from time to time, but some are made strong in the broken places. And I can hear the encouraging words of that 18th century poet, Isaac Watts, declaring, when the battle is over, then you shall wear a bright and shining crown. And so when the battle is over, when the last trumpet sounds, when the final act closes, and as the curtain is coming down, when the wicked shall cease from troubling, and the weary shall be at rest, then you shall wear the crown. And then you'll discover that I've got a crown and you got a crown, but all God's children gonna get crowns. And so fight your battles, brothers, with patience. You'll win some and you'll lose some. And sometime you may have to shed a tear or two. But remember, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Up, you mighty men. You can accomplish whatever you will. God bless you.
Morehouse will now confer honorary degrees. It is my privilege to present to you Dr. Elaine Tuttle Hanson, Mr. S. Truett Cathy, and Mr. Strive Masayuya for the Honorary Doctorate of Humane Letters. I call your attention to their complete biographical sketches in your program. Dr. Hanson, will you please come forward?
On July 1, 2002, you became president of Bates College, the alma mater of former Morehouse president Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays. There, your inspirational leadership ushered the college through turbulent economic times, promoting diversity, winning friends, and securing resources to ensure a strong future. After 9 years of stellar leadership at Bates, you assumed the role of executive director at Johns Hopkins Center for Talented Youth. Since then, you have used your skills as a scholar, educator, fundraiser, and adept manager to elevate the local, national, and global impact of the center. Dr. Elaine Tuttle Hanson, for your tireless efforts in pursuit of intellectual excellence, and particularly in support of academically gifted students, we salute you. Therefore, by the authority granted me by the Morehouse College Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the honorary degree Doctor of Humane Letters, with all of the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining thereunto. Congratulations, Dr. Hanson.
Well, it is an understatement to say that it's a privilege and a pleasure to be here at Morehouse, a famed institution I have so deeply admired for so many years. It is also, at the same time, a daunting challenge to address you in this seat of rhetorical splendor on an occasion so infamous for the kind of speeches that Gary Trudeau had in mind when he said that commencement remarks were invented largely in the belief that the outgoing college students should never be released into the world until they had been properly sedated. Now, I believe, and Morehouse College has proven, that an educated mind is the most potent force on earth. And I do not want to sedate the powers you have developed here for even the 3 or 4 minutes that I speak to you. So let me begin my challenging task where I so often began in a decade of speaking to Bates College students and alums by summoning up Dr. Benjamin Mays, Phi Beta Kappa graduate of Bates in 1920, PhD from the University of Chicago, scholar, orator, teacher, preacher, mentor to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and 6th president of Morehouse College from 1940 to 1967, an extraordinary reign. In an apt passage for this particular moment, Dr. Mays describes learning as a journey that is never ending, quote, like a voice calling from a high hill, come up here, come up here. One moves to the point where he heard the voice call out, only to find that the voice has moved to an even higher peak and beckons, come up here, come up here. And the process continues as the voice moves to higher and higher altitudes and calls out, "Come up here, come up here." So Dr. Mays captures in this extended simile what you may be feeling at this very moment, that sense of being both summoned and unfinished, which is probably why we call it commencement. Just as you think you've accomplished one thing, a harder one appears on the horizon, and you have to take off all over again. 4 short years ago, from the plateau known as high school, you heard Morehouse calling, and you began the arduous journey known as a rigorous liberal arts education. Now that you've mastered its challenges, however, the terrain ahead may look even steeper. The voice has moved to a next peak, and it's time to move on, to take it, as we say, to the next level. I'm not going to tell you what I'm sure you know, that Morehouse has filled your backpack with the tools and supplies you need for the climb ahead, and that you have the muscles, the brain, and the heart to keep your eye on the inclines and peaks in front of you. And I'm not going to talk about the strategies you should keep in mind as you choose the steepest path and seek the highest elevations. You've proven that you are energetic, hardy, and determined, as well as bright. But I would like to leave you with a reminder of 2 things that might come just a little less naturally to such robust and enthusiastic mountaineers as the graduates of Morehouse College. First, take time, make time, while clamoring to the top, to stop and reflect. While convinced that you are well prepared for hard work and driven to succeed, some of us worry that college students in general today aren't introspective enough. We wonder if, through no fault of your own, your lives have already been so overscheduled, overstructured, and overloaded that you've had no time to ask, does this work for me? Does it fit with who I am? You can't do your best without taking time for yourself, to refuel those inner fires, to ask yourself and others tough questions that have no easy answers, and to think again about the basic questions. Who are you and what do you love? Second, plan to be surprised. Reject the false promises of a linear sequential model of career planning or life mapping. Luck and chance will come your way, and the intentional habits and behaviors that are at the heart of a liberal arts education can keep you open to happenstance in a positive way. Remain curious and look around corners. Think about how you could make something work even if it isn't perfect, rather than why it won't. Be prepared for unexpected phone calls, chance encounters, impromptu and new experiences, and use them to build bridges to a future that you will help to design. Going forward, there is no safe path, only higher and higher altitudes that will need to be scaled on a planet that looks more mountainous every day. If any college graduates today can lead change, speak clearly about major social problems and opportunities, and set shared and aspirational goals for the future, I imagine it is you. And I charge you to reflect and engage, to be surprised and plan, to cherish, grow, and use your powers with courage and generosity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hanson, and I would urge all of the men of Morehouse, all of our Morehouse men who venture to Maine, to visit the campus of Bates College, where there is an extraordinary center devoted to Benjamin Elijah Mays. Make that a part of your pilgrimage journey as you are well-traveled, in addition to going to visit his birth home in South Carolina. Will Mr. Truett Cathy please come forward? Mr. Cathy, you are an entrepreneur who is committed to service to the community and, most important, to empowering youth through education. 66 years ago, when you opened the restaurant that would become Chick-fil-A, you started a business that would inform your peers about good corporate citizenship and ethical leadership. Since 1973, countless Chick-fil-A employees have received in excess of $30 million in scholarships. And recognizing the positive impact of an affirming family environment on children, Chick-fil-A and the WinShape Foundation have generously established and supported 12 foster care homes in Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama. For being an example of ethical leadership and corporate responsibility for your peers to follow, and for feeding my students wonderful sandwiches, Morehouse honors you. Therefore, by the authority granted me by the Morehouse College Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the honorary degree Doctor of Humane Letters, with all of the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining thereunto. Congratulations, Dr. Cathy.
All right, thank you very, very much for being here today. I didn't get to go to college. I was drafted in the Army when I finished high school, and so I never got to go to college, but that never mind me because of I never did like school, to tell you the honest truth. But I like to work. And so I started in business in 1946, and we're still growing. One university that I did graduate from was the third grade from People Street Elementary School, located not too far from here. And back then, you had to carry a Bible verse on homeroom teacher and one would be selected by the teacher to be the Bible verse for the week. And my Bible verse was selected to be the Bible verse for the week, had my name up on the board under it, Proverbs 22:1. That a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. I don't know what effect it's had on my life, but it tells us about how to operate a restaurant, and they just treat your customers like you like to be treated when you go out to eat, and that's what we've patterned our lives over. But we're still growing, we're still a private company, and we're looking forward to the future. Not long ago, a mother brought a little 4-year-old into my office, and he said he wants to say your Bible verse. And so I stood there, and he stood up like this, very attention. He said, Proverbs 22:1, that a good name is rather to be chosen than a lot of money.
Thank you, Dr. Cathy. I want the men of Morehouse to have a good name and make a lot of money. God bless you for your example. And now, Mr. Masiwa, will you please come forward? Mr. Masiwa is an entrepreneur, and as an entrepreneur, you have excelled and established a stellar example of principled leadership. As a visionary, you have gained international prominence for opening the African telecommunications sector to private capital. You fought against the government to dismantle a monopoly, paving the way for free enterprise. And you have shared your resources for philanthropic purposes. Not only do you fund one of Africa's largest orphanages, but also you have played an integral role in alleviating poverty that worsened during economic reform in your native country, Zimbabwe. Further, you have focused on creating diverse partnerships between businesses in South Africa and Latin American countries. For your commitment to excellence in business and humanitarian efforts, we thank you. Therefore, by the authority granted me by the Morehouse College Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the honorary degree Doctor of Humane Letters with all of the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining thereunto. Congratulations, Dr. Masiwa. Our friend Strive, I love that name. Strive, you may address our graduates.
Distinguished guests, family, friends, Morehouse men. Those who know me know that on Sunday mornings it's very difficult to get me to do anything other than go to church. But when I heard it was Morehouse, I said, it will be church. So I will take the liberty to greet you all in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. I greet you from Africa. You know, when I was a little boy in the dusty streets of Africa many years ago, I met the first African American I'd ever met. There was a man brought to our home, and he said to me, you're bright, you're a bright little boy. What would you like to do? I said, I'd like to go to university one day. He said, well, which one? I said, well, I've heard of Makerere in Uganda. And he said, well, if you don't get to Makerere, try to get to Morehouse. The throes of war and change in my part of the world as I grew up delayed my trip. But in 1991, I visited your country for the first time, this great nation. And they said to me, where would you like to go? I said, I'd like to go to see Morehouse. And I'd like to go to Ebenezer Baptist Church. So I came deliberately on a Sunday, and I sat and listened to those extraordinary spirituals. And I visited and walked around your campuses. And now I'm here. I have arrived at Morehouse. And I'm a Morehouse man now. Two or 3 years later, I listened to a speech in Africa from a great African, one of the greatest Africans of this generation. In Africa, they know him as a man from Africa. And his name is Andrew Young. I believe he comes from here somewhere. And that night, you know, he said that President Clinton had sent him to find some young businessmen to sit with him on a board to help entrepreneurs in Africa. And I went on my knees, as I do in such situations. I said, Lord, let him choose me. And by God's grace, he answered, because God will do nothing unless you pray. And you have to be clear what you want. And so I got a mentor and a father in Andrew Young. And he brought me here, and I came to Atlanta every year for the next 10 years, teaching and being taught and understanding. There are lessons for you in what I am saying, but I won't identify them for you. But the lesson there was, it's important as you begin your journey to find good, strong leaders of character to follow, like Andrew Young, the African. He brought me here and introduced me to a man called Reverend Leon Sullivan. We knew him too as a great African in the days of the fight against apartheid. And he pulled us aside and he said, I give you a charge, young man. Build a bridge between Africa and African Americans. So I have returned to extend that charge to you. Yesterday, I had the privilege to be at Camp David with another great African, President Barack Obama. And we talked as part of a delegation of African businessmen and leaders, talking about the new Africa. I know you know a lot about Africa because you're a Morehouse man. But if I may just tell you a little bit about another Africa. The Africa where 7 out of the 10 fastest growing economies today are African. Yes. Ethiopia, Tanzania, Ghana are growing at almost the same pace as China. The Africa that by the time you are well settled in your jobs 10 years from now will have a bigger middle class than China. That Africa reminds me of what a great man of God once told me. He said, you know, if you really want to be a success, identify a human need and reach out to meet it. There's a great American, T.L. Osborne, an evangelist, and it's been repeated to us in pulpits in Africa. In 1994, I was telling people only this week in Washington, 70% of the African people in 1994 had never heard a telephone ring. I didn't say I'd used one. I said they'd never heard it ring. That was a human need. I knew as a young engineer, not long since my college days, that we could change that. We had the technology to do it. The resources were out there. It was a human need. We didn't wake up and say we want to make billions of dollars. We said we want to extend telecommunications to all the peoples of Africa. And I wrote it on our boards, and I told our people, and I said, our mission is to provide telecommunications to all the people of Africa. Today I can report to you that nearly 70% of the African people have a telephone. We need to do that with water. We need to do it with sanitation. We need to do it with electricity. I was here this week to say we're going to do it with agriculture and food security. 80% of the food that we eat in Africa is produced by smallholder farmers. Most of them are women. Most of them are women breaking their backs with hoes. You have a charge to change that. You have a charge because the bridge has been built. All you have to do is to get across that bridge and join hands with other young men and women around Africa, in Ghana, in Accra, in Kenya, in Zimbabwe, to meet these needs. Perhaps you'll make money along the way, but I know something. If you reach out to meet the needs, you will wear the crown that we've so eloquently heard about this morning. That is your charge. I extend that charge that was solemnly given to me by men like Reverend Leon Sullivan in this very city. I think it is the charge of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. It is a solemn charge. You have begun a new journey. Your professors have handed you now to us, to men like me and women who need you to join us to build and strengthen that bridge. May God bless you in your journey.
Thank you to each of our honorees. I am now permitted to announce that Mr. Strive Masiawa is supporting 10 students from South Africa who will enroll in Morehouse College and will support them through their 4 years at Morehouse College. Thank you, Strive.
We now come to the central purpose of these commencement exercises. The awarding of degrees earned in course. The deans of the divisions will, in turn, present candidates for admittance to the various degrees offered by the college. President Franklin. I am pleased to present to you members of the class of 2012 who have been certified, as well as those who will be shortly certified as having completed the prescribed courses of study and all institutional obligations meriting the degree Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science. In accordance with the recommendation of the Morehouse faculty and the vote of the Morehouse College Board of Trustees, I request that you confer upon these men the degree of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science as appropriate in each case, with the rights, privilege, and responsibilities appertaining thereunto.
Provost Sheftal, I am pleased to accept the faculty's recommendation and the approval of the trustees, and I'm honored to confer upon these men the degree of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science as appropriate in each case, with all of the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining thereunto.
We will confer degrees by division. Division deans will now come forward and present candidates for graduation according to their respective divisions. Dean Johnson.
President Franklin, it gives me great pleasure to present the candidates for the Bachelor of Arts degree from the Division of Humanities and Social Sciences. Gentlemen, please stand. Turn to your right. And place the hood on your fellow classmates standing in front of you. come forward as your name is called.
Oluwadamilola Showers Abney, cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Antoine Giovanni Albert, summa cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Michael Charles Allen Blanchette. Adrian Marquise Ambus. Edward Lemuel Anderson, cum laude. Ludovic Andre Jr. Kwabena Mandela Asiyama Ansang, cum laude. Abraham Abebe Ayale. Rashan Abdul Baith. Rodney Adam Backus. Thomas Edward Baycoat III. Ali Malik Banks. Brandon Jamal Bates. Winton LeGrand Baxter. Quinterence Dwayne Bell, cum laude. Eric Antonio Bennett, cum laude. Micah Timothy Benson. Stanley Jerome Boss Jr. Willis Richard Bradwell. Kofi Musa Medellin Brinkley. Christopher Wallace Brown. James Brown. Charvis Bartel Buckholtz, cum laude. Brennan Michael Buckner, cum laude. Jonathan Reddick Burrows. Brian John Lynn Butcher Jr., magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Brian Keith Cabral II. Niall Emmanuel Calhoun. Alfred Chambers Jr., cum laude. Ellery LaBrent Creeks. Jeffrey Leroy Clark Jr., cum laude. Darian Michael Kluntz. Sanders Lavox Cochranil. Curtis Horizon Cofield III. Melvin Arthur Colbert II. Bruce Rashad Dangerfield Coppening. Paul Anthony Daniels II. Derek Anthony Davis Jr., magna cum laude. Zacchaeus Jeriel Davis. Brian Keith Dawson Jr., cum laude. James Wesley Dennis III, cum laude. Andre Lamont Dixon. Lance Amir Dixon, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Rashawn Dion Donald. David Jason Trey Dow. Claudic Donna Duranville. Michael Eugene Durr, summa cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Henry M. Easley II, cum laude. Aaron Matthew McLean Eaton. Devin L. Emery. Ian A. Epperson Temple. Gary Felder, Jr., cum laude. Jelani Anthony Figures. Christopher Edward Ford, cum laude. Darrell Andre Foster II. Joshua John Frank. Cameron Alvin Gachet, cum laude. Michael Jamal Gaither. Samuel Lewis Gilmore III. Cameron Travis Glasper. Daniel Brian Goodman. Jasmine Clintarius Grant, magna cum laude. Kamal Malik Grimes, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Timothy D'Angelo Gwynn, Jr., cum laude. Dejan Jeremiah Hall. Kedron Chavez Torrance Hall, cum laude. Louis Kenley Hargett, Jr., cum laude. Matthew Carlton Hargrove. Michael Marquise Harrison, cum laude. Darrell Hawkins, Jr. Juan Jose Herrera. Cecil St. Hill. Robert Hawthorne Hill, cum laude. Jerry Breon Holder, cum laude. Cameron Drew Hollis. Jordan Lord Honnigan. Christopher Julian Hood, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Arshawn Tyree Howard. David Chandler Hughes. Lawrence Royston Hull, summa cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Chance Brandon Hunt. Clifford Charles Hunt II. Malcolm Daniel Hunter, cum laude. Sean Anthony Hunter. Olusegun Idowu, cum laude. Justin Alexander Jack. Terrence Lee James Jr., cum laude. Jason Christopher Jenkins. Nicholas Dominic Johnson. Theodore Roosevelt Johnson Jr., cum laude. Hawaiian Warren Jones III, magna cum laude. Timothy Shakan Jones II, cum laude. Marquise Glenn Keel. Gary Lee Kersey Jr., cum laude. Stephan Olufemi Keshi, cum laude. Robert Austin King. William Kenneth Lee. Samuel Shoichiro Lewis, cum laude. Lamel Charles Lindsay, cum laude. Adam Lathan Linton. Dantavius Monquez Logan, cum laude. Louis E. Logan III. Thurston John Lopes Jr. Stacy Bernard Lewis Jr. Brandon Martell Lynch, cum laude. Raquan Tariq Major. James N. Martin. Gary DeAndre McCrare, cum laude. Andrew Michael McNeil. Dante Emmanuel Miles. Damian Dante Miller. Quentin Marquise Miller. Evan Smar Mitchell. Myrick Emmanuel Mitchell. Calvin Thomas Monroe, cum laude. Faradine Abdullah Moore, cum laude. Rashad Raymond Moore, cum laude. Victor A. Moses. Clifford Donqua Impari Jr., magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Ian Newman Molin, cum laude. Justin Michael Murray. Ryan Allen Murill, cum laude. Kellen Victor Gerard Nelson, cum laude. Jordan Charles Neesmith, cum laude. John Michael W. Nixon. Kenneth Michael Knoll. Malcolm Jelani Olatunji, magna cum laude. Chase Carrington Payton. Chaz Cameron Payton. Joseph Terrell Perez. Deshaun Timothy Pierce. Welton Lewis Pollard. Roland James Pope, cum laude. Anthony Lloyd Potter, cum laude. Jerry R. Preston Brandt, magna cum laude. Ruston Lloyd Ramsey, cum laude. Travis Lamar Randall, cum laude. Joseph Bryant Reddicks. Derek Anthony Reed. Atu Kwamina Taki Ribeiro. Palmer James Richardson, cum laude. Jamar Marcel Rodriguez. James C. Sampson, Jr. Reginald Williams Sanders, Jr. Kevin Tremaine Schofield, cum laude. Brandon Douglas Scott, cum laude. Brandon Michael Scott. Avery Javoris Sellers, cum laude. Paul Lawrence Sheehy III. Jordan Charles Shepard, cum laude. Jonathan Allen Skinner. Parrish Deshaun Slaughter, summa cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Kristen Surreal Smith, cum laude. Casimir Deontay Smith, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Barrington Bradford Spear. Marcus Devon Spencer. Rashawn Michael Stewart. Elijah Malik Swinton. Charles Vernon Taylor, Jr. Del Prado Taylor II. Ethan Franklin Taylor, cum laude. Patrick Andrew Taylor, Sr. Cameron Nikon Terrell. Bernard Denzel Tucker, cum laude. Max Turner. Raphael George Turner, cum laude. Alonzo Tommy Vereen, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Anthony Deshaun Walker. Gary Shawar Walker II. Rodney Walker, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Jonathan Maurice Wall, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Peter Alexander Ward. Rashawn Antoine Warfield. Warner Edward Watkins II, magna cum laude. Corby Allen Lanier Wesley. Alexander Akeem White, cum laude. Nicholas Austin White. Brandon Alexander Whitefield, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Jonathan R. Wigfall. Philip Lowell Wiggins, cum laude. Anthony Omar Williams. Charlie Williams IV, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. James Roman Williams. Omari Theo Williams. Reginald Williams. Taylor Antonio Williams, cum laude. James Cornelius Willis, cum laude. Charlie Jermaine Wilson. Donnell Michael Word III, cum laude. Demetrius Robert Wright, cum laude.
Okay, gentlemen, you may now turn your tassels. Gentlemen, you may now be seated.
President Franklin, it gives me great honor to present the candidates for the Bachelor of Arts degree from the Division of Business Administration and Economics. Gentlemen, please stand and turn to your right and place the hood on your fellow classmate standing in front of you. Please come forward as your name is called.
Paul Stephen Adamson, Jr., cum laude. Olajuwon Nkosi Ajanaku. Tyree Anthony Jerome Alexander, cum laude. Terry James Anderson, summa cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Ayinde Arnett. Mario Devon Austin, cum laude. Nicholas Briere Aziz, cum laude. Kevin Kashif Bachelor. Remington Winchester Bailey. McKinley James Baker, cum laude. Kayin Kyle Barclay, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Stephen Anthony Bell, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Dawit Beru. Victor McDonald Blackett. Hakeem Kashan Blake, cum laude. Darius S. Blakeney, cum laude. Leon Kari Booker II, magna cum laude. Leslie Oko Bortier, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Johnny Ray Boston Jr., cum laude. Brandon Francois Bouvier. Julian Nicholas Boyd, cum laude. Tyree Jamil Bridges. Ian Wesley Bridges, magna cum laude. Eric Terrell Briggs II. Joseph Jordan Briggs. Gregory A. Brito, cum laude. Spencer Eli Brooks, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Leonard Leroy Brown III. Zachary Antonio Brown, magna cum laude. William Gerald Bruce, cum laude. Omari Heath Buncombe. Trenton Jarrell Caldwell, magna cum laude. Morgan Tyler Carr, cum laude. Louis Lorenzo Chambers II, cum laude. Ardith Eugene Collins III. Gary Gordon Collins II, cum laude. Thomas Peterson, Kazine Conley. Richard Stephen Corley II, cum laude. DeAndre Lenoris Cosby. Michael Philip Cox, magna cum laude. Danilo LeVar Culmer, summa cum laude. Jonathan Jamel Davis, magna cum laude. Jillian Alexander Davis. Ryan D. Davis, cum laude. Robert Dawson, cum laude. Tor Kevin Derricott. Armand Jamil Dixon. Dixon Norman. Edion Seri Jr., cum laude. Nathan Daniel Edwards, cum laude. Kadir Kamal Kari Emmanuel, cum laude. William Alexander Esquilin. Manuel E. Faust Jr. Bradley Rush Feimster. Nicholas Alexander Fisher, cum laude. Seth Phillips Fowler, cum laude. Stephen Silas Francis Jr., magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. William Burnett Friday II. Christopher Anthony Garner, cum laude. Kevin Dion Gale. James Bernard Gilbert II. Quentin Du Bois Glover. Julian Nigel Glimpf. George Jamal Goddard, summa cum laude. Cleve Michael Godfrey, magna cum laude. Taylor Stewart Grant. Albert Bryson Green, cum laude. Richard Elliott Buckley Gross. Vincent Edward Gomes Jr., cum laude. Dion Tremaine Hamilton. Philip Brandon Harris, cum laude. Brennan Anton Hawkins, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Daniel Lee Henderson. Ryan Albert Henry, cum laude. Desmond Howard Hill, cum laude. Jawan Bashard Hill. Langston Everett Hill, cum laude. Terrence Michael Holman, cum laude. Byron James Horton, cum laude. Garrett Fitzgerald Howard, cum laude. Jonathan Ulysses Neil Howard, cum laude. Austin Jermaine Hudson. Marquez Danielle Hughley, cum laude. Anthony T.C. Jackson. Clarence William Jefferson III, cum laude. Hentivius Jerez Jester, cum laude. Darian Jarrell Johnson, cum laude. Relani Masood Johnson. Javon Javel Jones, magna cum laude. Kevin Amir Jones. Michael Anthony Jones Jr., cum laude. Philip Jones. Gary Paul Josephs Jr. Raymond B. Kelly III. Jihad Pata Kiparu Shakwi, cum laude. Jerome Shadu Kla. Biton David Hodges Colley. C.D. Joshua Lett. Brian Augustus Rashad Liverpool, summa cum laude. Stephen Wendell Love Jr., magna cum laude. Audley Maurice Mackle IV, cum laude. Hugh Alexander Marshall. James Matthew Marshall, summa cum laude. William Eugene Marvin III, magna cum laude. Thaddeus Dantavius Matthews, magna cum laude. Evan Gerard McCullough, cum laude. Omar Sterling McGill. Kenneth Tyrell McCoy. Clint Todd Middleton Jr. Martin Alexander Mormon. Sepo Malafetsani Moshu Aliba. Rahim Dakente Mosley. Kenya Lukman Tariq Muhammad. Jordan Charles Ned, cum laude. Gregory Lamont Newell II, magna cum laude. Sean Anwar Nicholson, magna cum laude. Augustine Kanu Onuwukwe Jr. John Robert Patrick Packwood, cum laude. David Leo Palin Jr., cum laude. Paul Wendell Parker. Stephen Gregory Paris, cum laude. Lamar Julian Jamal Partridge, cum laude. Jonathan L. Patterson. William Mitchell Payne, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Jovel Royston Phillips, summa cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. William Robert Picard. Larry Jerome Pinkston Marshall Jr., cum laude. Marcus Antonius Ponder II. Michael Julius Powell, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Robert Vincent Purnell. Merrill Marvin Reels. Kendall Curtis Reese. Taiwan Bernard Richardson. Vincent Bernard Roberts Jr., cum laude. Jarrell Trent Ross, summa cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Ian Paul Baluga Ruta, cum laude. Ishmael Kwame Salendi Nikom, cum laude. Stephen Theophilus Sarney Jr. Christopher Daniel Claxton Scruggs. Darnell Jean Shelton, cum laude. Sean Simpkins. Kevin Benjamin Small. Terrence Rashay Smalls, cum laude. Robert James Somerville. Vincent Randall Springer, magna cum laude. Devon James Luke Swanson, cum laude. Nathaniel D'Angelo Tatum, cum laude. Anthony Sean Teasley, cum laude. Derek Sean Turner II, cum laude. Kyle Patrell Upshaw, cum laude. Justin O'Neill Vanoy. Ronald Eugene Van Pelt Jr., cum laude. Charles Jerome View Jr. Brenton Shane Walker. Jared Ernest Walker Davis, cum laude. Jonathan Winfrey Walker. Quentin Ryan Wallace. Charles Evan Webb, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. George Walker Welsh Jr. Michael Westbrooks II, cum laude. Anthony LeBron White Jr., cum laude. Darnell Joseph White Jr., cum laude. Shaquez Desmond Wilkerson. James Anderson Williams, cum laude. Jeremy Jeremiah Williams, cum laude. Kenneth Andrew Williams, summa cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Roderick Keith Williams, Jr. Gerald Anthony Wilson II. Charles Preston Winslow III. Kirk Wooding, Jr. Lee Nathaniel Young, summa cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Louis Truman Young, Jr.
Gentlemen, you may now turn your tassels. Gentlemen, you may be seated.
President Franklin, it gives me great honor to present the candidates for the Bachelor of Arts degree and Bachelor of Science degree from the Division of Science and Mathematics. Gentlemen, please stand, turn to your right, and place the hood on your fellow classmates standing in front of you. Please come forward as your name is called.
Jeffrey Arentz. Jonathan Vernell Amy. Andre Anthony Antonetti. Reginald Dwayne Bailey Jr., cum laude. Charlo Patson Bain, cum laude. Alec Gerard Balding, cum laude. Thomas Ellis Benjamin Jr., magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Lighton Reed Barry III, cum laude. Lorenzo Murad Bea. Ryan Christopher Bowles, magna cum laude. Chris Levon Boykins, cum laude. Jonathan James Bradley. Brandon Juan Bray. Austin Louis Brazel. Julian Jordan Brunson, cum laude. Lauren Chase Brunson, cum laude. Antonio Rashad Burden, cum laude. Joshua Anthony Burrow, cum laude. Manzi Roy Proctor Bird. Martin Luther Campbell, cum laude. Daquan Jamir Carricker, cum laude. Eric James Chiambekeza. Devon Rashad Clark. Brandon Michael Cooper. Nehemiah Jaron Cotton. Thomas Gerald Coverson II. Ian Christopher Crandon, cum laude. Darrell DeAndre Crawford. Jarrett Peter Daniels Richardson. Tyree Ozell Davey, cum laude. Alexander Eric DeLeon, cum laude. Ian Sidney Derizio. Ni Di Dodu, summa cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Dwayne McKinley Dorsey Jr. Toritseju Jamari Ada, cum laude. Jabari Issa Elliott, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Darrell Jerome Faulkner Jr., cum laude. Austin Charles Farmer. Cameron Faturoti, cum laude. Brian Edward Fisher Nutt. Alvin Lamont Fortenberry. Melvin Howard Freeman, magna cum laude. Miles Henry Fuller, cum laude. Anthony Travis Gibson, cum laude. Pierce Edward Cornelius Gordon, summa cum laude. Zachary Lloyd Graves, cum laude. Brian Calvin Gray. Deshaun Edward Green, magna cum laude. Michael Demetrius Green, cum laude. Frederick R. Gresham. Roderick S. Hall. William Howard Harper III. Edward Alexander Harriott. Dwight Vincent Harry II. David Lord Harvey, cum laude. Charles Welton Bernard Hayes IV, cum laude. Paulo Matthew Hills. Ramon Cruzette Hogan II. David William Hollingsworth, cum laude. Amico Igrubia. Duan Anthony James, cum laude. Christopher Cameron Jones, cum laude. Kofi Kenku Kamit Kush. Biliaminu Olunrele Lawal. Alexander Hillman Lee III. Jonathan Marquise Lowe. Isaac Osei Kufor Mason, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Ronald Christopher Martin. Broderick Lamar McBride. Michael Tyrone McDonald III, cum laude. Brian Kirby McElderry, cum laude. Matthew Alden McKinney. Christopher Alexander McLean, magna cum laude. Malcolm DeAndre Meredith, cum laude. Quincy Harvey Merrill. Stuart Daniel Middleton II. Thomas A. Minor II. Ronald Lee Morgan. Travis Alden Murray. Daniel Santana do Nascimento, cum laude. Tamar Samuel Newell. Anthony Jerome Nixon Jr., cum laude. Stephen Gregory Norfleet, cum laude. Jamaji Chilaka Wanaji Enwerum, summa cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Brandon Wade Odom. Ryan Ford Patterson, cum laude. Justin Anthony Perry, cum laude. Jeffrey Antoine Phillips. Blaine Durant Radley. Raymond Ricardo Reynolds. Malachi Alan Richardson, cum laude. James Curtis Robertson III, cum laude. David Edwin Robinson IV, cum laude. Louis Benjamin Robinson. Thaddeus B. Robinson Jr. Joshua Arnell Sams. Ricardo Valentino Saxon. Darian Jordan Scoggins. Robert Xavier Shannon. Damian Hakeem Sherrod Sheffield. Mark Slade, cum laude. Harold Jonathan Smith Jr., cum laude. Joshua Delaney Smith. Michael James Smith. Stanford Daniel Smith. Jeremy Charles Sprouse, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Peter Colin Sampija. Brockton C. Starling, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Micah Jamal Strife, summa cum laude. Jabari Akeem Strozier, cum laude. Ronald Edward Stubblefield, magna cum laude. Marty Allen Roosevelt Stiles. Albrian Lene Simonet Jr., cum laude. Tariq Taylor, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Brandon Pierre Thomas, cum laude. Kendall Jamal Thomas, cum laude. Andre Lamont Thompson, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Prince Inedoje Imebolu. Antoine Vaughn. Davian Romaine Vernon, cum laude. Hamilton Alexander Wade. Colton Alexander Walker, cum laude. Charles DeWitt Watts III, cum laude. Kavanaugh James Welsh, cum laude. Devin Amon White. Dimitri Alexander White, cum laude. Philip A. White. Cameron Garth Wilkinson, summa cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Otha Lawrence Williams, Jr. Demarcus Rashawn Williams, cum laude. Kedrick L. Williams. Richard Thomas Williams II, cum laude. Robert Wade Williams, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. Corridon Wellesley Wilson, cum laude. Julian Taylor Wilson. Ryan Murray Womack. Labat Danielle Wright, Jr.
You may now turn your tassels. Gentlemen, please be seated. One of our students in the Division of Science and Mathematics started with the class of 2012, but his untimely death prevented him from completing the journey. We pause today to honor the memory of Michael M. Griffiths, who was a sophomore biology major from Silver Springs, Maryland. A chair for Michael, draped in a maroon cloth, sits alongside those of other members of his class to recognize his membership in this class. Michael was the son of Dr. Michael Griffiths and Mrs. Ellen Griffiths. In attendance today, representing the family, are Michael's mother and father, along with other family members. Please stand and be recognized. I am pleased to present a certificate of attendance to Michael's family at this time. Thank you.
Do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely.
that I take this obligation freely
without mental reservation
without any mental reservations
or purpose of evasion, that I will well and faithfully discharge my duties of the office of which I'm about to enter, so help me God.
And now would all the members of the Morehouse College class of 2012 please stand. Could we also have the honorary degree recipients to stand? To Dr. Franklin, members of the Board of Trustees, my alumni brothers, faculty, staff, friends, family, and most importantly you, the class of 2012. As your valedictorian so eloquently stated, you have leaped walls and broken through barriers. Yet there is still one barrier that you need to break through. Statistics state that on average it will take 10 to 12 years for an alumnus to re-engage the college and the association. Gentlemen, your college and your association can't afford to wait 10 to 12 years for you to become re-engaged. We need you now. We need your ideas, your insight, and your energy. So before I give you this pledge to be inducted to the association, I would ask that you give me your pledge that you will immediately become involved with your college and your association. Can you pledge that, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can you pledge that, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Very good. No institution of higher education can be stronger than its alumni. Therefore, those who have earned degrees and accepted the honor of becoming a Morehouse graduate shall reach back and give back in support of the ongoing mission of their institution. I am confident that you will assist those in your community and the world who are striving to achieve what you have already accomplished. Therefore, by the authority vested in me as president of the National Alumni Association, I am pleased to induct you into the Morehouse College National Alumni Association with all of the rights and privileges and responsibilities of a distinguished Morehouse man. Remember that when a Morehouse man bears the insignia of a Morehouse graduate, he is expected to do exceptionally well. In fact, we expect nothing less of you. As your gift, your first year's membership is complimentary. We hope that you will represent us well and continue to play an active role in supporting both your alumni association and your college forever. This pledge completes the rites of passage that you began on Friday. Now I'd like to ask that all alumni stand and join and enthusiastically welcome these brothers into our association and into the brotherhood of Morehouse men. Good luck and Godspeed, gentlemen.
On this very special day, we also acknowledge one of our trustees celebrating his 80th birthday, and tonight the city will come together to celebrate none other than Ambassador, Mayor, the Reverend Trustee Andrew Young. Andy, we love you, we thank you. The day has been long, the day has been good. My charge to you, gentlemen, remember the words of Rabbi Hillel, the world is equally balanced between good and evil, and your next act will tip the scale. Thank you.
On behalf of the members of the Board of Trustees at Morehouse College, it is my privilege to present a special resolution to Dr. Robert Franklin to acknowledge and thank him for his commitment to his alma mater and his distinguished leadership as a president of Mother Morehouse since 2007. Dr. Franklin, would you please come forward? I present to you this resolution from your friends and colleagues on the board on behalf of the entire Morehouse community. It reads in part, Dr. Robert M. Franklin, Jr., class of '75, beloved alumnus and distinguished leader of the college. Whereas Morehouse College Board of Trustee Chairman Robert C. Davidson, Jr., the members of the board, and the Morehouse College family pause to give honor and thanks to President Robert M. Franklin, one of the institution's treasured sons and its 10th president. Whereas President Franklin, a native of Chicago, Illinois, and author of 3 books, has served as president of Morehouse for 5 years. And whereas, as a Morehouse student majoring in philosophy and religion, he received the English-Speaking Union Scholarship and was inducted into Phi Beta Kappa. And whereas he served the faculties of the University of Chicago, Harvard Divinity School, and the Colgate-Rochester Divinity School before returning to his alma mater to serve. And whereas during his administration, Morehouse College was named the nation's best liberal arts college by Washington Monthly. And whereas President Franklin helped bring a number of major gifts to the college, including $1.75 million from the Coca-Cola Company, $1 million from Delta Airlines for the Joseph E. Lowery Endowed Scholarship Fund, and a $2 million 3-year grant from the Lilly Endowment for the World House Realized Initiative. And whereas he engaged faculty, staff, students, parents, and the extended community in the life of Morehouse through such programs and initiatives as the 5 Wells, the Renaissance Commission, and the Parents' Council. Now therefore, be it resolved and enacted by the Morehouse College Board of Trustees that the President Robert M. Franklin, Jr., class of 1975, is to be commended for his service, contributions, and commitment to Morehouse College and advancement of its ideals and principles. In witness whereof, and with strong concurrence, we hereto set our hands this 20th day of May in the year of our Lord, 2012, Robert C. Davidson, Jr., Chairman, Morehouse College Board of Trustees, Avery Munnings, Secretary, Morehouse College Board of Trustees. Congratulations.
On behalf of our entire college family, let me thank each of you for joining us in this celebration, the 128th Commencement Convocation of Morehouse College, and the awarding of degrees to the Morehouse men who make up this wonderful, mighty class of 2012. The Reverend Dr. Miller, the 128th Commencement and Convocation of Morehouse College is now completed. Please stand for the singing of the college hymn, Dear Old Morehouse, after which Dean Lawrence Edward Carter Sr. will give the benediction. Thank you.
Dear old Morehouse, dear old Morehouse.
In the name of the all-wise, all-loving, all-harmonizing, and all-supplying omnipresent power of goodness, I send you forth to walk in the world as beneficial presence, dynamic by design, with the dignity of difference, as respect-worthy beings, with the courage of a spiritual warrior, with boundless potential in the divine purpose you were meant to fulfill. In the nature of the omni-forgiving God, I send you forth to listen, evolve, and give generously all of the insights, ideals, and revelations that have been percolating within you. In the spirit of the Nazarene Commissioner, I send you forth with the joy of God flowing nonstop as you dance to the rhythm of your great, grand, and glorious destiny that is now inevitably unfolding. In the creativity of the architectronic master of the universe, I send you forth with the aid of the ancestors' communion with the light and the blessings and the lessons of dear old Morehouse to keep you in perfect peace. So be it, so it is, so are you. Amen.
Fare ye well, fare ye well, if I never ever see you anymore. Fare ye well, fare ye well, fare ye well, fare ye well. I'll meet you on the other shore.
Live the life.
Live the life.
Live the life.
Live the life. If I never ever see you anymore. Live the life.
Live the life.
Live the life. Live the life. I'll meet you on the other shore.
Fare ye well.
Fare ye well.
Fare ye well.
Fare ye well. If I never ever see you anymore. Fare ye well.
Fare ye well.
Fare ye well. Fare ye well. I'll meet you on the other shore.
Come around.